Abbas alayhi salam, the Alamdar, the protector, had been surrounded while trying to gain water for the children. Hazrat Muslim alayhi salam was martyred in Kufa while trying to gain supporters who would pledge allegiance towards the Imam. Hazrat Zuhair bin Kain alayhi salam, Hazrat Hur alayhi salam, and Hazrat Habib alayhi salam had all agreed to defend Sayyid al-Shuhada, Imam Hussein alayhi salam, for the sake of Islam, without any reoccurring hesitations. Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam, Hazrat An and Muhammad, and Hazrat Qasim alayhi salam had all been shaheed. Imam Hussein alayhi salam had witnessed his beloved family and friends being brutally slaughtered and unlimbed in the leading events before the day of Ashura. The dearly beloved grandson of our Prophet, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who was also facing the thirst for the last 3 days, would now have to fight the enemies head-on. Imam Hussein alayhi salam came to the tents. He asked his sister, Lady Kulthum, to bring his infant child so he could bid farewell for the last time. Lady Kulthum brought 6-month-old Ali Asghar alayhi salam to her brother. Here, let's pause and imagine how would a mother of such a young infant be able to handle her son's incessant and agonizing thirst. Imam Hussein alayhi salam couldn't bear seeing his son in his fatal state caused by severe dehydration. Imam Hussein alayhi salam's love for his family was unbound. He decided to take Hazrat Ali Asghar alayhi salam in his arms and covered him with his cloak. He wanted to appeal to the soldiers of Yazid in hopes of retrieving water for his thirsty son. O soldiers of Yazid, you feel I have offended you. But what has this little child done to you? His mother's milk has dried up. He has not had a drop of water for 3 days. He is dying of thirst. Give water to this innocent little child. Despite not being old enough to wield a sword, Hazrat Ali Asghar alayhi salam managed to make his enemies tremble. As a fish struggles to survive without water, Hazrat Ali Asghar alayhi salam suffered similarly. Hazrat Ali Asghar alayhi salam was drooping in the arms of his father, as if all his strength was disappearing. His tongue licked his lips due to severe dehydration. This weakened the hearts of many. Umar ibn Sa'd noticed how his soldiers were rendered weak, and even had the shame to shed tears. He was afraid they would turn against him. He commanded his best archer, Hurmala, to end the distraction. Hurmala struggled at first, but managed to reach his target. Hazrat Ali Asghar alayhi salam was struck with not 1 or 2, but a 3-headed arrow used for camels. Imam Hussein alayhi salam saw how his son lay limbless and motionless in his arms. The arrow had pierced the neck of young Ali Asghar alayhi salam. Imam Hussein alayhi salam was filled with agonizing pain as he saw blood trickling out of his infant Ali Asghar's neck. The young warrior, Hazrat Ali Asghar alayhi salam, had now reached martyrdom in the arms of his father. Inna lillahi wa inna ilaihi raji'un. Hazrat Ali Asghar alayhi salam represents the bravest of martyrs. He didn't fight on the battlefield, but instead fought a battle many struggled with, the battle against thirst. He was the youngest shaheed, but the most courageous one to be martyred. May we all remember the sacrifices of the family of our Imam, and may we continue mourning for them. Salawat.
Please recite a loud salawat for the Sahat Islam to your Sister Iqra. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Our next reciter, I would like to now kindly request Brother Chris Castillo to please come forward. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
This one is called O Wise, Shed Your Tears. Why shed your tears? Muharram's moon has turned. In these days Hussein's blood is spilled, the tents of Zainab burn. Why shed your tears? The caravan arrives. Soon will the sands redden with blood, the children's gasping cries. Why shed your tears for the bodies on the ground, run upon by horses' hooves, broken in pieces found? Why shed your tears? The son and father part. The prophet's face enters a fray, its spear still pierces heart. Why shed your tears? Will not be quenched the thirst. The neck of Hussein's pure infant, an arrow reaches first. Oh, why shed your tears? To the river Abbas goes. Hussein sets out along his side. Hussein returns alone. Oh, why shed your tears? Weep and recall Hussein, how they surrounded him with swords, how he fell upon those plains. Oh, why shed your tears? Hussein killed in Karbala. From the skies they heard, oh soul, let peace return now to Allah. Why shed your tears? Don't let this month's moon pass without your headstrings torn apart and Hussein's love steadfast. Why shed your tears? Cry Wa Muhammad, and these days join his caravan. Hussein in Karbala.
Please recite aloud salawat for Chris. Our next reciter is Brother Aqil Haider. If I can have Brother Aqil please come to the podium at this time. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Written a few verses on the Shahadat of Hazrat Ali Akbar. With your permission, I'd like to go ahead and recite that. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I've titled this, My Beloved Son Ali Akbar. World has not seen a battle quite like this. Injustice, pain, brutality as deep as an abyss. Karbala memory and history you cannot miss. Shaheeds martyred and gained eternal bliss. Yazid's perishes in hell, actions that can't be dismissed. Your eyes will not dry, your heart will not hold, tears bound to flow as Karbala's tragedy unfolds. Generations come and go, Karbala's tragedy lives as it's retold. The intense burning sands of Karbala, restless on the day of Ashura, cradling the bodies of the dead, disassociated from the neck and the head. Cry as you may as the son of Hussein is laid to bed. Karbala cannot be complete without the mention of Ali Akbar. He was among the many suffered from the cold-blooded massacre. Come witness the last moments between son and his father, a moment of intense pain upon separation of Hussein and Ali Akbar. The time has come, Ali Akbar must prepare to fight. How can Hussein give permission? Akbar is his vision, his slight. He had envisioned a wedding. Layla yearned for this sight. She would sew him a suit, make him dashing in delight. Now Layla begins to cry, thinking of a coffin for Ali Akbar's height. Hussein requested Akbar to see Zainab for permission to fight. My son, I can't grant you permission to leave this situation. Your sight is a reminder of my grandfather. It's not my imagination. Ali Akbar rushed to Zainab's tent to ask for permission. Zainab took him in her arms arms with great admiration. Ali Akbar, I have always supported you in every endeavor, every mission, but my brother Hussein will not survive with your ultimate decision. Layla watched her son depart without any hesitation. Ali Akbar left camp and ready to face battle without apprehension. Hussein walked behind Ali Akbar with constant trepidation. Hussein falls to his knees as Ali Akbar fulfills his obligation. Ali Akbar is a grandson of Ali, son of Hussein, mirror image of Nabi, martyred by the many, covered in blood, can you see, with arrows and swords piercing his body. Ali Akbar fell off his horse, landed on the ground forcefully. Hussein heard a cry, began wandering aimlessly. My son, your father's coming, please do not leave me. How will Hussein see his son dying painfully? Layla prayed for Ali Akbar to pass peacefully. This is Ali Akbar on the day of Ashura, lying there on the scorching sands of Karbala. Struggling to breathe, he has one thought in mind. My father will be alone. How can I leave him behind? He hears his father screaming his name from yonder. He can hear Sakina yelling for her father, and thoughts of Asghar brings tears to Ali Akbar. He can hear Sajjad weeping and praying for his brother. Sughra awoke from her sleep with the thought of her dying brother. Ali Akbar knows he'll never return to his mother. Arrows lunged in his back, uncomfortable to lie. He wipes the blood from his injured eye and prepares to mix the final goodbye. He rolls in the direction of Kaaba and yells out to his beloved Baba. From a distance, as far as he can see, a man running towards him aimlessly, calling out Ali Akbar, Mere Ali Akbar repeatedly, falling and crawling repeatedly on the ground, but coming in closer and closer with every bound. With the last breath in his chest, Akbar calls out with his best, "Oh Baba, your son is here, wounded and injured without any fear." Hussein found his son covered by sands of Karbala. Hussein found pieces of Ali Akbar scattered on the sands of Karbala. Hussein took his injured son in his arms. His face still had a smile with a charm. The sight of Ali Akbar was intense and profound. Hussein sat next to him on the ground. He placed his face on Ali Akbar's cheek. Face of Nabi, people came miles away to seek. Ali Akbar covered in blood, pain at its peak. Body trampled by horses, Hussein saw and couldn't speak. "Oh Baba, I can't move, my body wounded and weak. Oh Baba, my thirst is so intense I can't speak." Hussein took his injured son in his arm. His face still had a smile with a charm. He placed his face on Ali Akbar's cheek, face of Nabi, people came miles to seek. Hussein had nurtured him with the love and care. This was a sight he just could not bear. Hussein held him tight, his tears could not hold, watched his son pale and his body cold, prayed that no other father would witness this when weak and old, called his Baba Ali to witness this calamity unfold. The doors of Jannah opened. Ali Akbar looked up to the sky. Prophet and Ali patiently awaited to take him high. Ali Akbar looked at Hussein for the last time with a wounded eye and requested permission for the final goodbye. As he laid on the ground prepared to die, he noticed the glorious light above him as he took his last sigh. Hussein kissed him for the last time and said farewell, carried his body towards camp, wondering what would he say or tell. Hussein held Ali Akbar's body as he walked and repeatedly fell. "My son, my heart will ache for your presence till I die. Ali Akbar, you will not be here to carry me as I am left beheaded to die." Angels and Anbiyas have descended to give respect. Akhil Haidar and all the Shias together here are praying and giving our due respect. Ali Akbar's shahadat will continue to have an everlasting effect. No one can explain Ali Akbar's pain and suffering. Akhil Haidar barely attempted by the grace of Hussein's blessing. Alhamdulillah.
very much Brother Appeal. For his head and salam, please recite aloud salawat. And our final presenter for this evening is Hujjatul Islam, Sheikh Rizwan Arastu. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Until recently, the poetry of Mir Anis was quite distant from me. I know it's a big part of the Urdu-speaking liturgy of Muharram. I came across a translation done very well recently, and I'm going to present some of that marthiyah of Mir Anis in English. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The box of arms was opened by the king. Let me tell you this as well, that when he translates king and lord, he's referring to Imam Hussein. Like Mawla can refer to Allah and can refer to an imam and a prophet as well. So he's taking that same liberty, and it's uncomfortable for us to speak to Imam Hussein as Lord, but he uses Lord as a translation of Mawla, not as Allah. The box of arms was opened by the king. Zainab, chaste and holy, beat her breast. The armor brought in heaven began to sing the prayers inscribed upon the leader's chest. The beauty of its jewels shone out afar, and every link was like a gleaming star. When Zulfiqar, the mighty sword, appeared, the king of heaven kissed its hilt with love. He weighed it in his hand, the glory cheered. I bow to thy magnificence above. May victory be thy lot, may triumph flow, and may thy strike fall squarely on thy foe. Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. He fixed the sword that he alone could wield. The crescent moon grew frantic in the sky. Up to his shoulder mounted Hamza's shield, whose dignity increased when raised on high. The mark of prophethood was its proud gain, from being on the shoulder of Hussein. Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. The Houris from their windows in delight called out, bless Muhammad, bless the Imam, and bless his sword. The earth this day presents a wondrous sight, for he resembles Mustafa, our Lord. The banner of Abbas goes forth unfurled, the company of the Prophet rules the world. Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. For when the Holy Prophet left his place, we thought the world bereft of beauty's charm. But let the old bent sky now hide his face. Ali Akbar lives to be Hussein's right arm. Just see his comely looks and know his worth. Muhammad in heaven, his shadow on earth. Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. Suddenly arrows rained upon the horde. Hussein advanced and pleaded with his foe. His thirsty friends came to protect their lord. They struck the Syrian force and laid it low. With swords held high, the fight was underway. All strove like Malika Ashtar in the fray. Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. The king's companions bent on holy war raised cries, the earth began to shake with fear. Fierce lions against foxes to the fore, the cursed foe in panic to the rear. To north and south fell lightning on their flanks and pierced the black clouds of the Syrian ranks. Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. Hussein, ya Hussein, ya Hussein. Now Ali's grandsons fought with might and main. Their daggers had the force of Zulfiqar. On shield and shoulder savage blows would rain. The wounded, dead and dying lay afar. They proved themselves to be the Prophet's scions. Nursed by the milk of Zainab, they were lions. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Those tiny little hands, those wrists so white, their speed created havoc in the field. The enemy bowmen broke their ranks in fright and pleaded with the Prophet's men to yield. In them Muhammad's strength was manifest. 'Twas Zainab's milk that fed their line-like breasts. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. And after the battle, Hussein brought back the corpses of his nation. No martyr's head was severed by the foe. May no man suffer such dire tribulation. He cried, alas, where do their spirits go? The weight of mountains has been thrust upon me. Such fine array men's eyes will no more see. Mid dead and dying stood the lone Imam. The Prophet's cloak was soaked in crimson gore. Dejected, anxious, thirsty in alarm, he heard their victory drums, the enemy's roar. Proclaiming slaughtered martyrs broke his heart. It pierced his spirit like a poisoned dart. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Only he who grieves can understand. The garden of life's toil was not wasted lay. No rest from lamentation's cruel hand. The lamps were out that once burnt bright as day. Scattered limbs exposed to searing heat. On Ali Akbar's corpse there was no sheet. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. The king of the age moved slowly to the tent. He could not bring his thirsty lips to speak. Lifting the flap, he cried, my heart is rent. My sister, it is Asghar that I seek. Now bring him from his cradle to the door. I long to see his moonlight face once more. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Muhammad's women ran to him unveiled, and Zainab brought the baby in her arms. He took the child by pangs of love assailed, and kissed him overcome by infant charms. The knife of grief cut through Hussein's sad breast. His holy knee afforded Asghar rest. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. He cradled Asghar in his warm embrace. Outside in ambush lurked Black Kahin's son, who fired a three-pronged arrow from his place. Its target was the neck of the little one. The baby writhed in pain, the leader cried. The tiny child was slaughtered by his side. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. The baby died, and in the earth about a little grave was fashioned by the sword. The child was buried, and Hussein cried out, O holy ground, be mindful of thy ward. This love of Ali, keep him in thy care. Ali's pledge and Fatima's treasure rare. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein. Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Hussein.
Once again, for Sheikh Rizwan's Sayyid and Salati, please recite aloud salawat. Brothers and sisters, tomorrow marks the day of Ashura. The details of tomorrow's program are as follows. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. we will be having the Amal of